Okay, so I'm here to talk about this marvelous window feature that we've got here. Um, and the thing I like about it most is that um, what does that say? About alright, that's annoying. About there we go. So I want this title to actually be um, CCD cost control control database. This is the what? Shopping cart page. The mobile view. Mobile view looks great. Yes. So let's see this. Alright, so I think I need to make this orange or something. There's a theme switcher that'll help me do that. This is Kendo UI and this is Kendo UI, and I think I can mix match, put one Kendo UI styling inside of another. They're using like local styles in all their code examples, which is great. So it seems like they would be smart enough to do that, and I know they have like theme switchers in their own system, of course. So I just need to understand it, dig into it, and make the inside the blue that we like, but make this outside orange. And why? Why would I make the outside orange? Well, because the outside is something complicated. The outside is a window. Um, so yeah, it lets you scroll around, and you can scroll around on your table and stuff like that um, inside this window. And if you've got a lot of columns, that's very handy. But well, what happens when you buy a smaller device? How about if you're like, what is this? This is like an iPad? Well, that's not bad, actually. Starts with a dot. That's for Ruiz. Yeah, look at that. So let's put the contractor here. That's a little hard on a mobile device, right? Because it floats way over there. That could be better. This is kind of neat on a desktop too. It's like a floating window. Like you can collapse it, so it collapses. You can pin it, so it sticks with the page, or you can just float it and drag it around like that. So if there's a particular section you want to compare with like something else somewhere else on the page or on another site, you can just sort of drag it and have it hover. It needs, I think it needs, if it's going to float like that, I think it needs a drop shadow down here. So I'll have to see about that. I'm going to get that 3D look. I was promising Jerome I would give him a 3D variation, which I had sketched out somewhat along these lines. However, I then kind of welched because I said I didn't have time. But I'm having a lot of fun playing with Kendo, which is also something I'm not supposed to do now. I'm still supposed to be looking only at Photoshop and not limiting myself to Kendo UI. But I love it. I mean, if he tells me we can't use Kendo UI because nobody else has it and we don't want to be dependent on them, I'll be a very sad person. Because look, it's got these neat little filters, and you can like, so let's see, contractor and description. Do we have any things with the same contractor and the same description that match both contractor and description matching? Well, yeah, actually, Rui's Construction has bought several 10-inch diameter VCP culverts, and he's charged us from $180 to $200. Well, that's interesting to know, right? And you know what? I could find that sort of thing out on an iPhone. It'd be less fun. Unit price is good, but it's like we need frames. We need like frozen columns at the top and frozen headers maybe. But still, this is passable on a mobile device. You know, I'll say there's room for improvement, but it is functional, and you could actually get work done. Certainly, in the event of emergency, you could use something like this to fill out a form in a table. All right, so that concludes my exciting demo. Oh, wait, that's right. So not only was I working on this at home, free of charge, because sometimes when I'm there, maybe I'm a little sleepy or something, and I don't work as ambitiously as I should. So I make it up by working at home sometimes for you free. But we can actually see it in a mobile device. Now this is interesting because on a mobile device, you have this little pop-out window, right? Now, on the web page here, what does it do? This makes it go full screen. So, wow, you're using instantly 100% of your real estate. So that's great on the desktop even, you can, it's still a big table. So, but here, you've lost all the other garbage, and now you can just move around the table and find out what you want. And then when you're satisfied, you go like that and shrink it back down, and you're back where you're at. Well, that's great, and then you can still scroll around. So this is a very handy feature set up here. And we need to demo it so users understand how to use it, because, well, it's really cool, but they're not used to having anything that cool and useful. So once they see it, they'll be like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. I can see how I'm going to use that. You can be like, oh, wow, you can drag it around. And it's like, yeah, you can. Or you can pin it to lock it in place. That's what that little icon is. That's pin. And this is collapse. And this is expand or full screen. If you're collapsed, you can't go immediately to full screen. You have to drill open, and then you can go to full screen. But from full screen, you can go there. I think that just closes it, right? Yeah. Click here to reopen, to open the window. So it's kind of a pop-up in a way, and pop-ups, have a bad reputation, but it's kind of not a pop-up because it starts popped up. The things we don't like about pop-ups are, like, well, I won't go on. Let's not enter into pop-up arguments. But anyways, this is what our table should look like. It's got filters, it's got grouping. What more could it have? Well, I'll talk about that later. I have some ideas on what I'd like to see to make it really a lot more functional. I think it's looking great now and it has a lot of functionality. But with a few simple tools, applying some things correctly, and at the right time in the right place, we can turn this into something really, really functional. Thank you. Oh, yeah, and I wanted to show, this is how it works in, so the pop-out effect works even better on an iPhone. This is how it looks on a Nokia. And let's see, how's it look on an iOS 7? iOS 6? Looks the same. How about this way? Yeah, it looks pretty much the same. Yeah. about iOS 7? Yeah, it's not going to change any. Web. Of course we know what web looks like. And what's phone? Oh, I guess phone is like the most primitive. Oh, Windows Phone. That's one word. It's BlackBerry. See, it's better when you pop it full screen. We can set it to be different sizes on the mobile devices too. I mean, at least to start. Android. I'm sure, like, it's gonna look the same in all of them. This is really boring browser testing. I'm phone testing it right here, right now, and it'll do. It'll totally do. We can ship it. I could make it a lot nicer, fancier, prettier, sexier, but let's shoot low for the first project, right? We want to get Kendo UI in the pipeline. We want to get adoption going, and we just want to make a solid showing quickly with the new technology. We can make it even fancier and unbelievable.